All right, good evening. Wow, I can see the quality is really bad. I probably need a light on. Does it help turning up my computer light? Wait, hold on. I'm going to turn on a light at risk of seeing me better. Hold on a sec. Wow, it's all grainy and horrible and whatever. Okay. All right. Good evening. I was going to start this by saying I think this is going to be a short live because, I haven't checked the news and there isn't much to say, but thank God I didn't check the news because otherwise it'd be like 3 hours long. Now we're going to try to keep it short, but there is just, as usual, like just one day here, there's so much intrigue and so much going on. And just right now, my daughter just went outside right across the street from us. There's a grocery store, and she went and she left. And suddenly I see they've detected a launch from Iran, a missile launch from Iran. So I was like, okay, let's see where it's going to. And then they said, okay, it's going to go to the center of the country. So I was like, all right, I won't even tell her anything. And she's out there and she calls me and she's like, why wasn't there a siren? I saw an orange blast in the sky, like some kind of explosion right over our heads. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. So the thing is, when the missile is headed toward, like, let's say it's coming from the east and it's going over us to the west, we don't get sirens for here because it's headed there, but it's usually intercepted before it gets there. So we've seen many interceptions and heard many. So that's been quite interesting. But anyway, I'm going to show you also a video. Let's see if I can do this. I'm getting fancy today. All right, so I'm out with my son doing pause. Okay. First of all, I hope you can hear this. This is just this morning. Now, after having told you guys for a while now that what do you call it? That we have had no sirens here in Jerusalem, like for 48 hours. For over 48 hours, we didn't have any sirens. Then this happened this morning. Some shopping here on, what is today? Is it Tuesday morning? And we just got an alert that there might be a siren in our area. And guess what? I don't know where there's a shelter even. So interesting how if you're caught outside, you've got to know where your nearest shelter is. I wonder if they have it on Google Maps. Let me check. All right, so we're in the store and the sirens just started in Jerusalem and we're going into a miklat po ooh, wow, you can hear it. Do you? Ooh, at shomat od. Okay, let's go. Daniel, come. Let's stay here. So we can hear the interceptions overhead. And anyway, we were assuming it wasn't going to come to Jerusalem because we already saw the sirens going off for west of here. And so we assumed just in the last couple of days, we haven't had sirens for over 48 hours now. So we assumed that it was not gonna, that the alert wasn't actually going to come to fruition here because it hasn't in the last couple of days. So anyway, so we are taking shelter in the store that where we were shopping. All right, so the event has ended. We bought our stuff and now we're headed to the next store where we need to buy some other stuff. And that's it. Hope we make it home before the next siren. Right, Daniel? Yeah. Okay, so that's a little bit of the reality. Now, I'm not showing you this by way of complaining. I know other people have it worse. We've seen it over the last 2.5 years at least, if not more, and in other places. It's not just the Middle East that has war. But that's just a little bit of the reality of what happens here is just the disruption, the potential danger, and you never know what is going to happen. Now, I've mentioned this before. In this country, not everybody has a bomb shelter, and not like at all. Like, apparently, only 3% of Arab houses in this country have a bomb shelter. And I'm sure it's also, it's not a high, it's a majority probably in the Jewish neighborhoods, but there are also many in low income housing. Or it's not low income housing, it's not the same as in the US, but like in some neighborhoods in the periphery, there are no bomb shelters in the homes, and people have to run to either a public shelter, and it can take way longer than the time allotted, depending where you live. There is a law that within like certain borders, like in the north and the south, that there has to be a shelter in the house, but that's only like it's maybe 3 or 4 miles of a periphery, and it obviously doesn't cover everything. So I mean, it doesn't. That means like if you're just like 4 miles past the border, you definitely don't have a shelter. So, but I have heard of a lot of elderly that have to evacuate, that they fall on their way, and many of them just don't bother going. And of course, if you don't have a shelter at all. So also today there was another siren after that. Now, this hasn't happened for us here in Jerusalem for 2 days now. I'm watching, like, even right now on the TV, they're getting sirens in the north. And surely, the north has gotten a lot, and also the center of the country has gotten a lot. So we kind of got a little bit complacent. But today, one of my kids was in the old city with a friend, and also my mother-in-law lives in the old city of Jerusalem, and there are no shelters there. So I was like, "Oh, so where were you when the siren went off, and what did you guys do?" And he's like, "Well, we were at my friend's house, and we just like ran into the bathroom and, stayed away from the windows or something, and that was like the best they could do." So that's a little bit of life here. Now, there is no school. There are restrictions on gatherings of, I think it's up to 70. I'm not sure. They've extended these restrictions through Saturday night. So there will be no decision made about school until at least Saturday night. And even then, it's like, let's just see where this all goes, because we had nothing for 2 days, and they were talking about opening the schools again on Wednesday, and then suddenly two sirens today. So good luck getting 400 kids all to a shelter. And can they all, like, how many shelters are there at a school? Because I doubt 400 kids can fit into one shelter. So anyway, so that's a little bit of the reality on the ground. And okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the news, because there's so much. And uh, one thing I do want to address is that there are a lot of reports out there that, and I think people are even asking me sometimes here, like, is there damage to Israeli installations? Like, are they hiding the casualty count? Are they hiding the damage? And I will say that, to the best of my knowledge, they are not hiding a casualty count. I think it would be too difficult to do in such a small country. But can there be damage that we don't know of at military installations, et cetera? Because that is what's running rampant on other channels. And it's Iran claims that it hit a satellites in Israel, and also military bases. And then also, by the way, so I was trying to see, like, are these mentioned anywhere else? And then the only thing I could see, it was like from 2024. So I cannot even corroborate what they're saying, let alone, um, I don't know if Israel would not announce that, because also the issue is if they are aiming their missiles in a specific way, and you see that most of the missiles are going toward the Tel Aviv area, like the wider center of the country on the coast. They're going over Jerusalem. They're going there. So what are, are they specifically aiming there, or is it like accidentally that it just so happens to be? So it could be that that's what they're going for. Now the thing is, if a missile is not intercepted and it lands somewhere, then you will have, like, if there's that, they want to block, the military censor, for the press actually put out like a reminder of the restrictions, like do not broadcast from these sites, because it will enable Iran to calibrate their launches even better. Like, oh, it landed there. Okay, so we need to go a little bit, to the west or to the east or whatever. And so anyway, so that's what they're saying, and so I cannot corroborate that if there is any damage. There's also, like, just now, and I can't confirm this either, and I saw it even on the Israeli channels, but they're not talking about it on TV. And then I saw it in a news alert and opened it up, and it wasn't even a story. It was just a video, which could totally be AI or it could be totally real, of a satellite field that was allegedly damaged by an Iranian missile. And I don't know. It didn't even say anything in the description, and it's not at the top of the news. So all right. So that I have no idea. Now, today we were supposed to have here, landing in Israel was supposed to be two U.S. envoys, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, son-in-law of President Trump. They were supposed to come to Israel. And I'm like, how? First of all, I mean, I thought you're telling me the airport's closed, flights are limited, people can't get in, it's not safe. Anyway, the airport is near Tel Aviv, and that's where all the launches are going. So how is this possible? So anyway, why are they coming in the middle of war? You can't just make a call. And secondly, then they cancel their trip from yesterday. And then I was like, well, wait a second, but why are you canceling? Like, is there something I need to know? Like, are things going to get worse? So, and just now I saw an interview with Steve Witkoff, and he said, yeah, we canceled, hopefully we hope to come next week, but we're not sure yet. So I'm like, what? Was something going to happen? Also, we have Iran. Have talked about these cluster bombs, or it's like a missile with like a cluster bomb warhead that explodes I think in air. It releases several mini bombs inside of it, and then it looks like fireworks, goes like this, and it goes all over. So anyway, that they've been doing that. I saw a figure today that Israel suspects that half of the missiles that came here have been that. But then Iran said something yesterday. They said, well, if you think that that's bad, you've seen nothing yet, because we have 1,000 kilogram. We're not going to send anything that's not less than 1,000 kilograms, which is like 2,200 pounds. So they've said that. So I don't know if that's what we saw today in the launches. I'm didn't hear yet what it was that came out. Okay, so let me see what else. The Trump has been saying maybe, if they want to negotiate, if they want to talk, and then Iran was like, we're not negotiating, we're not talking now, we're going to fight, and it's on now. So that's, anyway, I less like to deal with the politics and the posturing, because we can't really believe any of that out from any side, because it's all part of the game that's played behind, so never mind that. But here's the exact quote from the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Aerospace Force Commander. He said from now on, no missile with a warhead lighter than 1 ton will be launched. The frequency of launches and the scale of the waves will increase, and their operational range will expand. Okay, all right. So let's say I haven't seen anything yet. Okay, well, I mean, today I can't say there were more or less launches than yesterday. I don't know. I don't have a tally, but I would say it's not dramatically more. I can tell you that much. By the way, the new Ayatollah has been appointed. Since then, we have not seen him in public, and there are reports that he's injured. So, and I think the reports came from the Iranian press. So, it's not just a conspiracy out there. I also want to say that, oh, welcome back, Raya. At least did you take video of the missiles getting blown up over your head?
Oh my gosh, there was only one and it was so huge, it was ballistic.
Literally. Literally, it was ballistic.
Ballistically huge. Can you give me my blanket?
Yeah. So, okay. So let's see. Bryce says hi. All right. More about Turkey. Let's not even do the whole big geopolitics right now. I want to talk about moving the goalposts, because there is a lot of talk about what is the desired outcome of this war, for, like, why did the US start it, and the US and Israel, why did they start it? And I feel like they keep, at least, especially with the US, I feel like they keep moving the goalposts. At first it was like, like, for regime change, we want the Iranian people to rise up and to be able to change the regime. And then I need to find a quote, and they keep saying that, but what Netanyahu said today? Because he said something that was more in line of, where is it? I don't think I'm going to find it. I don't know where I saw it, but what Netanyahu said was that it was basically like, still, if the Iranian people have the will, they can rise up, and so he's like, so he was still talking about that, but Trump was then talking about, first it was the regime change, then it was nuclear, take out the nuclear, and now it's just the missiles. We got to take out the missiles, so the missile launchers and the missile supply. So I am watching this, and I'm wondering, like, what we do end up with. And I mean, if you're going to start this war, then, like, what is the outcome, and when do you decide it's okay to stop? Because if you decide it's okay to stop with just the missiles, then you still have the nuclear and you still have the same regime. But I think the nuclear and the regime change covers everything. Also the missile launchers and the nuclear will probably be somehow, like, folded into that. So just, all interesting, but again, that is probably politics. So, okay. So now, I want to say hi to people who are shouting out. Okay, so I don't read Armenian. I know I should be embarrassed to say that. So somebody said, "The Lord bless you and protect you." Thank you very much. But I can't read your name. I should learn Armenian. I'm wearing, like, a necklace of Mount Ararat, so I should be able to read Armenian, right? Okay, thank you, Christine and Terry and Walter. Okay, and Walter said there's speculation that the new leader of Iran wasn't only injured, but that he was also killed. Yeah, I also don't know that that's true. And I also don't know that they would appoint him if he was killed. Like, why bother and then have to admit later? But why hasn't he appeared is the big question for me. So, Lebanon, there continues to be attacks on by Israel of Hezbollah targets all over Lebanon, and also including Christian villages. Now, let's look at some. There was a priest that was just killed, And I'm going to go to this right here. This is Shadi Khalul is he lives in the north. He's a Christian Israeli. He calls himself. He's Arabic speaking, Aramaic speaking. He would say he's Aramaic. Okay, but he is saying here that the residents of Jewish villages in Israel have issued a formal message of condolences to the Maronite community in Lebanon and Israel following the tragic death of Father Pierre El Rai. So the parish priest of this church in southern Lebanon was killed. Now Shadi writes here that Father Pierre was known for his courageous calls for peace and his vocal opposition to Hezbollah. He was killed by Israeli military fire on Hezbollah terrorists that used them as human shields, while heroically attempting to assist the wounded villagers in his town. We must also highlight the grave danger faced by our brothers in Lebanon as Hezbollah continues to use peaceful Christian villages and homes as human shields, turning them into launching sites and hiding behind the Christian community after attacking Israel. May his memory be a blessing. So that is about the priest that was killed in an Israeli airstrike. So that is now I read a little bit about him, and he refused to go, even though the evacuation order was issued by the Israeli military, but he refused to go. So, all right, let's see what else we can look at. Here is something very interesting. Now, I may have said this before, but I'll say it again. Politics makes for strange bedfellows, but geopolitics makes it even all the more bizarre. Just look at this headline in the Times of Israel, and this is not just in the Times of Israel. This is news. Syria accuses Hezbollah of firing shells into its territory. So now, Syria, which has no diplomatic relations with Israel, but had at least, or has diplomatic relations with Lebanon, which is where Hezbollah is based. So now, will the Syrian army get involved? Will they attack Hezbollah targets in Lebanon? And that would be a little bit mind-blowing for this region, that Syria, that might put Syria and Lebanon at odds. It would actually put Syria and Israel on the same side. I mean, lightly, I'm saying. Now, it's the same actually in the Caucasus right now, because there's, let me stop this for a second. There's also, like with Azerbaijan and Turkey, they both have been fired upon, whether or not intentionally, by Turkey. And Azerbaijan is a great ally of Israel, and Turkey is not. But the two of them are great allies. They are probably, of the BFFs, they are the BFFs. And Israel would be second for Azerbaijan, and Israel's on the naughty list for Turkey. You know, if I ask ChatGPT to explain this to me like I'm 3. So what would happen if, oh yes, so Walter's asking, is it true that Turkey is joining the war? As far as I checked, like 10 minutes ago, a half hour ago, no, but they were apparently flying drones on the border with Iran. And people were speculating that it's in possibly checking out targets if they get involved. Also, they have flown some jets to northern Cyprus to also, because Cyprus has been also attacked but through Lebanon, by Iran, but through Lebanon. So anyway, so they have been there to protect their assets in northern Cyprus. So anyway, but what would happen then? Let's say they join the war, which is a U.S.-Israeli led war, and they join the war, but they're not exactly, well, Turkey is not exactly on good terms, especially with Israel. But then the question would be, what happens after, or what happens on the ground? Because if, let's say, the US and Israel are backing the Kurds in Iran to do some sort of regime change, which, by the way, that's kind of faded from the news. I'm not saying it's not happening. It's just no longer like the hot topic in the news. But if that's the case, Turkey would probably oppose that and wouldn't want the Kurds to take over. So it's just absolutely crazy, like all of the ins and outs and the intricacies of what would happen. All right. Anyway, I am going to continue to peruse all these millions of tabs that I have open. But here's something else on the priest in Lebanon. Let's see. So Christians praying in Lebanon after the bombing of the Christian town there. They're declaring to our Father.
لتكن مشيئتك كما في السماء كذلك على الأرض. خبزنا الجوهري أعطنا اليوم واترك لنا ما علينا كما نطلب نحن لمن لنا عليه ولا تدخلنا في التجربة لكن نجنا من الشرير. أبانا الذي في السماوات.
I gotta shut this up. Okay. All right. Now, I'm not even going to go to the articles here, but I thought I had an actual article open. Well, I guess I can open one. I do not know if this is confirmed. If this is confirmed, again, I tried to confirm it, but it's not in any proper news source. I don't know who this person is on her Twitter feed. But the Assembly of the Arab Tribes of Iranian Khuzestan, a coalition of Arab tribes in southern Iran, has declared that the tribes pledge their allegiance to the exiled Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi under the principles of a united and secular Iran, free from the anti-Arab racism and with great economic and social justice in their province. Now, is that true? I have no idea. But you know what? If that is the case, that is amazing, because that would be like yet another group in favor of bringing in the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi for a transitional government. And so, again, not confirmed, but I've seen it in several places. So not sure what to do with that. All right. I'm looking to see what else I have here, because there is just some crazy stuff. I want to read you a quote from this this is the story about whether or not, I don't even want to show it to you because I don't even know if I can trust this site, but it's about whether or not the satellite station Israel was actually destroyed by an Iranian missile. And it says, I'm going to read you this quote. This claim spread rapidly on X, demonstrating how modern conflicts increasingly unfold simultaneously across physical battlefields and digital information domains, where viral narratives can shape global perceptions of infrastructure vulnerability before official verification occurs. So this is a site called Defense Security Asia, and I have never heard of it. So again, I don't know if I can totally vouch for it, but I think that's an amazing quote, because I think that's exactly what we're dealing with. While there's a physical war going on, there's an information war, and things are flying so fast. I used to use the platform formerly known as Twitter to get information, or at least get idea. Not obviously, it's not verified. It's like worse than Wikipedia. Remember the days when Wikipedia was like, oh, don't quote Wikipedia, you can't trust that. Now it's like, this is like on steroids. But I used to check for news updates of certain countries that are less covered in my media. But I have found lately that the platform formerly known as Twitter, is far too polarized and bot driven or paid advocacy agents that it is such a waste of my time to try to verify pieces of information. So I've actually stopped going there because I feel like it spins out of control and you can never get to the bottom of a story. There's too many influencers. There's too many. It's an echo chamber that goes one way or another. It's like pro-Iranian regime, anti-Iranian regime, or pro-Israel, anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian, anti-Palestinian. And it's like you can't get that truth that's anywhere in the middle. So I stopped wasting my time with that. So anyway, this is where I found that story. I have to agree, though, with this quote that we are in such an information battle right now that to source things. And, I remember when the Russia-Ukraine war first broke out, and both sides would put out infographics just of like this many tanks destroyed, this many were killed, this many, this and that. And the numbers were always inflated in the government's favor. And each respective government, it was just so hard to figure out. So it just takes a lot of extra work these days to get to the truth of the information. So what else? Want to show you one more video, because this is now Iran has been under an internet lockdown for days. So the Iranian people are under a lockdown. Now, there was just an announcement today. Let me see, where Israel and Iran. Well, first of all, anyway, that article doesn't have what I'm looking for. Sorry. Okay, inside Iran's wartime information blackout. This is from Iran International. Let's see. The Iran shutdown of international internet access has entered its 10th day, leaving millions cut off from global communication and raising fears the blackout is putting civilians at risk during wartime. So now this also happened during the protests, and it also happened during the 12-day war in June, when there was between Israel and Iran as well. So yeah, that is bad. But I can't find the actual story. Well, Israel just says that it bombed the place that was preventing internet, or that was blocking the internet. But okay, yes. Do I think by the way, we bet every night on if or when there's going to be a siren. No, but me or Lucas was the closest, because I said none, and it didn't come till 10 o'clock, and you said 4 and Rita said 2, so totally wrong. I think Lucas said 7. All right, so Walter asked, are they able to use Starlink? I don't know, but they are getting there is a trickle of video coming out. And Steve, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. But I'm going to show you one video that did get out. And I will tell you that Israel is, according to the IDF, that they are taking out specific, the police forces like the Basij, and that they did so today. But this one I'm going to show you now is from a couple of days ago. A massive explosion in Western Tehran. So let's take a look at this. Let me get this back to the beginning. Sorry, I want to figure out how to make it bigger. We'll watch it again. God, look at the sky. Guys, what was that? What was that? I'm sorry, I can't make it bigger. The but you can
よ
see it,
ほ
right? You
どおせもの。
all right. All right, so that was a massive explosion. Can you tell me what was that? No. Anyway,
The thing from the one of us from Lebanon.
no, that was not. I'll
That
show.
was from Lebanon.
Okay, I'll show you. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay, good. It was from Iran actually, because they said the launches were coming from Iran. Okay, so anyway, everybody in this house is a reporter now, by the way, but most of them are just like giving me fake news. That and snacks. How much did you spend this time, by the way?
I got chocolate and 2 chips.
Only chocolate and 2 chips because, you know,
Just because.
you need at least 20 a day, right? And anyway, okay, so that's it for today. I think there's probably 4 million things that I missed. But anyway, it's like information overload. That's kind of how we live here. So thank you very much for joining. I appreciate it. It's always great to have this interaction, and I really appreciate it. If you could subscribe on YouTube, that'd be awesome. You would get also alerts of when I'm going live, and you can join the live stream. That'd be awesome. The interaction is a lot of fun. So anyway, thank you very much, and have a good day or good